Buenas tardes,
Good afternoon,
amigos.
everyone.
Muchas
Thank you
gracias por
so much for joining
acompañarnos en
us
un
once
nuevo
again in this
webinar.
webinar
Hoy
session.
tenemos
Again, today we're
K2BTools
going to be talking about
15, más
K2BTools
innovación para
15,
los
maximum innovation
desarrolladores
for GeneXus
GeneXus.
developers. Today
Nos
we have Federico
acompaña
Dominioni.
Federico
He
Dominioni,
is the CTO
CTO
at
de K2BTools.
K2BTools.
Y hoy vamos a tener
And
el
today we will
último
have the
webinar
last
de la
webinar of
comunidad
the GeneXus
GeneXus
community before
antes
the
del
big
gran
event that's coming up,
evento
the
del
GX30,
GX30,
which is going to
que va a
be
ser
on
el
the 28th,
28, 29
29th,
y
and the
30 de
30th of
noviembre.
November so
Por
far.
ahí la producción va a
Now that
poner
the
en
production
el
is going to get
chat
on the chat,
el
the
link de
registration link for
registro
those
para
of
los que
you
nos puedan
that feel like
acompañar
joining us in
presenciales
person,
y
and also
también los que nos
those of
puedan
you that
acompañar de
want to join us online through the streaming. So, of course, we hope to see you there. Don't forget to sign up. And I'd like to let you know that this webinar has simultaneous interpretation. I'm guessing that on the chat, you've already got the information, so you can choose your language of preference, clicking on the interpretation icon. You can choose English or Portuguese, and of course, it's going to be posted and uploaded so that you can watch it again if you wish to do so. Without further ado, Federico, the floor is yours. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar session. Also, I'd like to thank GeneXus for giving us this opportunity to be with you here today, sharing this amazing webinar, which, as was said, is going to be the last one before the event, which makes us, in a way, like the band that's going to play before the main band. I don't know if this is a common practice, but well, we are hoping to see you there, hoping to have you sign up. As we will also be there, we will be giving a couple of talks and we'll have a stand there too. This was something that we haven't done in a while because of the pandemic, which prevented us from meeting in person. So we're really looking forward to it. So let's get started with the presentation. Today, we're going to be telling you about what K2BTools has to offer. And the idea is to help you innovate with your GeneXus development. But before we delve into the presentation, for those of you that don't know about it, let me just quickly brief you on what K2BTools is. We wake up every day and we go to work with the goal of improving the quality of life of GeneXus developers, which we know is already good enough, but still, we want to make it easier and we want to improve it and we want to boost productivity and development regarding all the services that they may use. We are part of two companies. One of them is K2B that has a world-class ERP, which is an extensible ERP. It is, functionally speaking, very rich. And it's used in several countries. And well, apart from that, GeneXus Consulting, which is a leading company in the development of GeneXus projects. And well, we're talking about more than 30 years of experience. And between those two companies, we came up with K2BTools. And the idea was to allow you to make your developments faster, but also to transfer that knowledge to the whole of the GeneXus community that can use the full power of all the tools that we have to offer. All these things make a lot of buzz. So considering all the power that you get from GeneXus and all the productivity that you get from K2BTools, we were acquired in 2021 by Constellations, in particular the Vesta software group. And so we are part of a very, very large software companies group. This is the only part of the presentation of this talk that is going to be interesting, because I'm not going to be the one speaking. Instead, you're going to watch a video that's going to be telling you a bit more about K2BTools, and then you're going to have to put up with me. So enjoy this part while you can. And let's click on play.
K2BTools is the professional tool suite with the most experience in the GeneXus community. It automates the creation of applications and drastically decreases development times, building applications in a quick, easy, and cost-effective way. With a presence in over 20 countries and an interdisciplinary team, K2BTools is made up of different solutions which adapt to the needs of each project or organization. K2BTools Web consists of a set of patterns and extensions which automate the creation of web applications in GeneXus. K2BTools Mobile allows GeneXus developers to generate native applications for all devices using predefined patterns and designs. K2B Audit is a transparent solution which leverages the process of auditing every update to an application and access to its data. K2B Call U is a component for the integration of video calls in any GeneXus application. The core values at K2BTools will be reflected in your projects. Higher productivity, allowing for the development of a large number of features automatically and with little or no effort. Best development practices used in large-scale projects and incorporated into the current methodology to generate high-quality applications. Secure applications guaranteed, aligned with the global information security principles. Excellent user experience, on the same level as some of the most advanced design systems. Technological evolution hand in hand with every new GeneXus release. Make the most of your GeneXus applications with K2BTools.
Okay, great. So if we could have 3 or more of those videos in the presentation, we can just have it done with that. So the idea was just to briefly tell you what K2BTools does. We will leave a Q&A session at the end of this webinar so that you can ask out anything that you feel like asking. And to the best of our capabilities, we'll try to answer those questions. But now, let's talk about what has summoned us here today for this webinar. So the focus is going to be K2BTools 15. This is Aries plus a couple of things that we did with the calendar, many more UI controls, much more AI. We're going to be talking about a lot of this over this presentation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So what is Aries? In late March, early April, we gave a webinar where we presented this new family of design systems that we decided to call Aries. And we took this opportunity to redesign almost from scratch all the different components that are part of K2BTools. The goal was to take it to the next level in terms of UI and also to allow all those components to coexist and to work homogeneously, creating a very good user experience. But on top of that, while remaining flexible enough so that you can add variety to the number of applications that you want to create. For this, we work with a number of designers, and they were mainly dedicated to using the vast knowledge in application development and trying to understand what they're getting requested nowadays for their applications, the applications that are being built, so that you can contain those designs within the K2BTools product, and this can be readily available as part of all these varieties. So they are natively available within K2BTools, so that the effort that a development has to put in to incorporate it will be at a minimum. All these design systems that we offer within K2BTools can be customized. The customization combinations that you can create are very vast. You can choose the color palette, you can choose the types of menus, if you want to have it horizontal, vertical, you name it. What we do is we get everything ready for you. We give you predefined designs, and truly the variety of designs that you can create using K2BTools by mixing and matching the different components is almost never ending. So this is the flexibility that you get when you use K2BTools. And of course, the design systems that we are offering in this new family that we decided to call Aries. Also, for those of you that are not that familiar with the system, We have a sample site where you can just try it out by yourselves. But what we're doing here is we're opening an application with features that are optional, such as, for instance, changing the dark and light mode, and that happens in runtime. And this is not just about the design, but also it is connected with certain features that you need to meet, some requirements that you have to meet. For instance, you can add a collection of categories in products directly here. You just update it. And thanks to the development of controls, which is perfectly integrated with this interface, it makes it possible for you to, at a very low cost, be able to improve the quality to a great deal. So luckily, what's happened with Aries so far has been great. We've had some very positive feedback by the whole GeneXus community that started using these new design systems. And I'd like to just name a few success stories. I don't want to talk too much about it, but we believe that there is a lot of stuff that we see that are repeated in the kind of things that we are told by those that are developing with K2BTools. The first thing is the validation of the amazing and so very professional look and feel that this provides you with, which adds a lot of value. And the other thing that is also repeated is that this migration from the previous design system to Aries was done at record time. And it was almost costless, which is something that has been repeated by several users. In this case, for example, they moved a knowledge base of 4,300 objects, and it was ready and in production with Aries in a week. And it's not something that only the people that were using GeneXus for development like, but also a real goal, which is that your users, those of you that will use your applications, they also liked it. So when it says here that it meant an aesthetic leap, that is exactly what we mean. And it's something that we've seen throughout the different feedback that we've got. So using Aries, it's been very positive for all the projects that have decided to start using it, or also maybe new users that are starting from scratch using Aries. And this is a great thing about the tool. So why is it so easy to update with new design systems in K2BTools? Probably one of the biggest reasons that we have identified is that within K2BTools, we have always decided to, when it comes to specification language or instances in an interface, that it should be as simple and straightforward as possible, and it should contain as little design information as possible. So in this specification, what I'm saying is that there's going to be a grid with these columns. You're going to have these filters and these orders, but I'm never even saying where this is going to be located, whether it's filters or grids, if it's going to be responsive or a smart table. That information is elsewhere. And what this allows you to do is that by using this very same specification, you can generate absolutely varied interfaces without you having to make any changes in this language part of things. So you're just replicating all the instances, and it will automatically give you the new application with this new look and feel that you were looking for. And this is also future proof, because we don't know what the trends are going to be tomorrow when it comes to design. And so this is also allowing you, in a way, to know that if perhaps in the future you need to change your design systems, or we need to include a new family, whatever it may come, then the adoption of this is going to be very frictionless, which is definitely one of the things that we seek. We released Aries, and after we did so, upon the request of our users, we started including more variants and more options so that we could give it more flexibility. This, which used to be in the Orion design system, which is this menu that you can hide, which is very common for interfaces where you're showing a lot of information. and you want to have the full width of the screen and you want to have the menu only on demand to navigate, that was one of the things that we included. This is a different style with a floating menu, which is something that we were requested. And for very soon, we're going to be releasing this new menu version that is called a mega menu that also allows you to choose to have a different way in which you display the menu, which allows you to work in a different way. And this is horizontal. We're going to be talking about K2BTools 15, 15.1. And today, the latest released version is K2BTools 15. But here, because we are so close to the release of the 15.1 version, I also want to give you a little preview of stuff that hasn't been released yet, but you're going to have it available in the short term. So if I don't forget, I will try to show you and tell you what those things that haven't been released yet are. So now we're going to talk about the calendar in the section. Good. So we have always worked on how we show data collections. The more traditional way to do so is using a grid, which is an interesting way of showing information, but we have also worked on, for example, you getting this kind of view in the case that you're working with cards, for example, and also different views for analysis so that you can see how that entity that you're creating in the system will affect this. This is something that we have worked for several versions already, and the idea is to share all the filters that these views have in common. So this is something that you get already with K2BTools. In this version, we have also seen that there are other kinds of entities that would be interested to have a calendar view, especially those of you that have a time dimension and to show them in a calendar way. So another thing that we were requested, especially for the user analysis view, was to have that view without needing to use a grid, but with all the power of the filters that you get with K2BTools, because that is something that people appreciate a lot, having multiple filters, date range filters, a number of things that we have incorporated. And we have also incorporated this collection view feature that allows us to have a calendar. And you don't need to have a grid for this, and it gives you all the power of filters that you get by default with K2BTools. Okay, so now let's stop for a minute here, and let's talk about the calendar. Okay, if you all agree, let's do that. So what are the scenarios that we may have? And I mean scenarios in terms of how you use the calendar. Any kind of calendar that requires you, for example, to make an appointment, such as a medical appointment, and to try to find maybe perhaps the availability for such an appointment, or to see what are the patients that a doctor is going to have to assist on a specific date, or any entity that has a starting date or time and finishing date or time. Well, you may use this calendar view for this. Also for time registration. Basically, you can allocate things for different times in the day. It also helps you to show information. In this case, for instance, I would like to see the different expiry dates of my bills. So this is visually very pleasing, where I can see the amount of money that I have to pay for those bills and when they're going to be due. And this gives you a visual additional information, for example, when you're going to get paid or when you have to pay something. And this is a full presentation of all the things that you can do with the full calendar feature. In this case, we are registering activities, for example, where you can just click on the calendar, and that allows you to insert an activity. For example, imagine that you're scheduling a technical meeting with a client, and the fields where you have the date, it's going to be filled, of course, with those gaps are going to be filled with the information that you selected when you did it manually on the calendar. Here, for instance, I chose a wrong client, so I can just easily go and update it. And it also allows me to delete that and to do so very easily. Cool. So what other things can you do with this calendar view? Thankfully, a lot of things. We can navigate. You can go to a certain date. You can see all the activities that you have on that day. You can also define several calendars. For example, in this case, I'm just choosing to see the calendar that is going to give me the total number of hours per day that I am busy, to see whether or not I'm going to be, I should keep on adding things to that day or not. And you can define several calendars within that calendar as you wish, and you can apply different filters, and you can see both of them at the same time, or just choose to see one. You can also change the view. You can have a view that only comprises weekdays from Monday to Friday, or you can also have a monthly view, which is going to give you all the main activities that you have in that month. And all of this will be displayed at the same time. Or also you can have a day view, where you can just be focused on one specific day and get much more detail, so that the end user finds it easy to just change depending on the activity that they deem most important. So how do you set it up? How do you do so? We see that this is a control that has a lot of power. It has a lot of additional features, and it's easy to set it up. So truth is that it's very easy. You're going to have a pattern that's going to be the calendar view, and the only thing that you need to do in the calendar is to choose an ID, a single ID that could be the primary key, a description, which is going to be shown on the calendar appointment, and then the attributes from and to. And with that, automatically, you will get all these calendar features such as insert, update, delete, and so on and so forth. And you also get some flexibility, so that if you want to load this information on a data provider, you can also do so. So it is a very easy to use feature, but at the same time, we understand that it's very powerful, and that it's going to be taking your applications to the next level. And all the features that I showed you with calendar view, you can set it up if you want to show the header, how the navigation is going to work, what is the start time, end time, so much stuff that you can do, and that you can try to set up just by yourselves. It's really easy. And all of this has been released, and we would like to invite you to take a look at it. Okay, now let's talk a bit about UI controls. So version after version with K2BTools, those that are following the evolution of the products will know that we are releasing a number of controls that you can use in K2BTools. This allows you to use multiple sachets, simple sachets, multiple combos, the calendars, a lot of things that honestly, the number of components that it has and that you can use is never ending. And The idea is that you can also offer your users a really good user experience. So now we're going to take a closer look at the stuff that we have been working on lately. Many of these things will be released with K2BTools 15.1, so let's get started. Many times we have the need, and this is something that happens with the builds, with the enumerated domains, that you need to give it a specific format. For example, when it comes to the status, and you want to show that domain, especially when the value of that domain is on display mode, that it will remain the same throughout the application. This is an example where you have a list of clients, but you can also choose type of products. And the idea is that you can decide how that domain is going to be shown when it has certain values, and that is going to be also displayed on a grid or everywhere, actually anywhere where you're making reference to a field that contains that attribute, that it's going to be automatically displayed in that very same format. This is configured directly on the domain, which is the pills, value pills property. It's called enum values pills, and this is for each value of the domain. And with that, you apply it on the K2BTools, and K2BTools will apply it throughout whenever you have an attribute that's based on that. So that is very interesting. Then another thing that we have been working on is the conditional pills. So we already have the conditional rows, where at a row or cell level you could determine a condition and you could give it a pill format. And now what we are doing is we are incorporating it in a more native-like way in K2BTools, which makes it easier to be understood, so that you can do this, for instance, where we're showing with a different format the field to see if it was received or not. And here we are marking those bills that are overdue. They're appearing as payment pending. So for a user that's using this interface, they don't need to work through filters. Just by taking a quick look at it, they see that the invoice is pending. We always work on improving the kinds of inputs. We've seen the case of sachets, multiple simple sachets, a lot of things. And one of the things that we have incorporated with K2BTools 15 is the phone input type. So if you want to have, for example, a phone input, you will get the flag and the number with a format, but also for the next version. And this is a special request because it happened to us at an event, which we call them the spaces, and they said we need improvements for the date fields. So today, natively, the way that GeneXus does this is using a very useful control, which is when you're gonna choose a day that's very close in time to the present date. Well, you can use this feature, but there are other scenarios. For example, I don't know if I want to go with the date of birth, where you would have to input that in a different way, or maybe reduce some ambiguity, which may happen in the applications, for example, because if you have the date ticker, it's very clear, but when you click that, if you have a 4/5, you don't know if that is the 4th of May or the 5th of April. So what we have done with this is that you can have a separate field for the month, for the day, and for the year. This is an implementation that's using suggest, that has a different input method, which is a combo, where you get, for example, just March, and then you get the value And for the years, well, you just need to decide on the minimum and maximum value so that you know, so that you can narrow it down. But we understand that this depends on the kind of applications that you are developing for this kind of field. Then we're working with new filters options. Today we have a big filtering power, not just the power that a filter in itself implies, but also the location. It could be on the left, it could be centered, it could be floating. So a number of things that you can do. Also, filters could be located on the column titles, such as the case of Excel. A number of users have said that they needed in their projects to put it on the first row of the column so that you have an exclusive row for filters. And this is also going to be new in K2BTools 15.1, which is going to allow filters to appear on a first row where you can just add whatever filters you want. And this is going to be native using K2BTools. Natively by default, right? You're going to get that option. Another thing that we've been working on is to improve PDF reports. This is not just a visual improvement, but they also have to do with adding extra features. And also the way that it works. You need to configure the fonts in a configuration file, and now we're using a templates mechanism for that to be read elsewhere. And what's important about this is that PDF reports improved a lot, and visually speaking, and compared to the previous versions, you can have, for example, the filters on the same row. You also get the support of different designs for reports, where you can also choose. You just select one of the options for your reports. You can choose different templates that are available so that you can just choose one and get that report with that look and feel. And that is also for the 15.1 version. Another scenario that we were suggested is to have additional information on a grid, which had a solution in K2BTools. You could use a popover that used a separate field, and you had the possibility to, well, you could see the information from that field. But what we did now is we included the possibility to define a component, and that is going to be expanded within the same grid. So, for example, I can expand here the invoice and see the different lines for that invoice. And you can choose the Google component that you want. It's very easy to configure. We also worked in the aggregation parts so that you can group them. A very common case is that if you have a multi-currency system, and you have a column of totals, you can add dollars, pesos, etc. And if you want to have a total grouped per currency, this is already implemented in K2BTools 15. And another thing that we have done is always trying to add one more step in terms of flexibility. Also, pagination. This allows you to customize it as you want. You can do things like this. You can choose pages. And it's also allowing us to give you more flexibility and more options with K2BTools with different kinds of paging. So this is something that's growing more and more. Now let's talk a bit about AI. I want to sleep last year in November, and I think that I just woke up, so I don't know if anything happened that revolutionized the world over that period, but now, seriously, if anything, if that happened to anyone, then they're not going to believe it. But luckily, I was wide awake and I lived through this whole revolutionizing experience. It's clear that this has not been just another year. It's been very groundbreaking in terms of AI and how that affects the different applications that we are building. So this is opening a lot of pathways for us in terms of how we can work so that the applications that we are developing can really leverage this AI revolution. And from the beginning of the year, we have been working on how to add value using all these AI models. We did a lot of things. One of the scenarios we've been working on is intent-based navigation. This consists of understanding what a user wants to do based on something that they write in natural language and to guide them through in terms of how they need to do it in that application. A user that uses our applications is trying to attain a goal in an effective way. That's what they want to do always. And trying to adapt the conceptual model of the user that a user wants to have. We're trying to do it in the simplest way when we are developing our application. But we have come to a point where the system can interpret what the user wants based on what they write in natural language. So we worked a lot with GeneXus and with K2B ERP, which is a KB that has more than 8,000 GeneXus objects, and it's an application that's very rich, functionally speaking. It is truly a very powerful application. And at the same time, we have GeneXus that has the GeneXus Enterprise AI, which is the tool that is helping GeneXus developers to integrate in a simple, straightforward way to all the models that we have. So this joint work has allowed us at K2BTools to develop technology that will make it easier to incorporate all of this in any KB and in a user, developer-friendly way that you can include intent-based navigation. In fact, if you've seen any of the GeneXus presentations, we are showed as a success story. And in K2B, we have given 2 webinars that were mainly focused on this. If you want, I can give you a few examples of the things that we have done with intent-based navigation. In this case, we have in our chat the chance to ask a question. So I'm going to say, okay, what are the pending microlabs invoices? And that is going to take us to the interface automatically that meets those requirements. And it's even explaining how you can get there, which is very important, because if you have an application that has a lot of features and you have new users that maybe don't know how to use the application, the adoption is going to be much more natural. And this is really cool because just with one question that you ask the assistant, it inferred what interface you had to go to, that I had to go to sales documents, and that it needed to use the filter microlab so it knows the company and also the status that it had to be in. You even get this text that is telling you what you need to check, and it's explaining how to use that interface. So it's very surprising, very positive, the things that you can do and the barriers that we are lifting for our users when it comes to knowing how to navigate an application. Here we're asking what is the import to charge in the next 4 weeks. And here our assistant realized that it had to go to an interface that was for debts. And it's just amazing how this assistant really how it really works, because it's telling the user how to properly use the interface, especially considering how big the KB is. So this is something that is there that you can use, and the $1,000,000 question is, how do you, K2BTools users, can benefit? How can you benefit from this? How can you use this in your GeneXus applications? How can you apply this to your KBs? And some of you will hit me maybe now. Some of you may like me, but we're gonna stop there. And I'm not gonna spoil that much. We're gonna see each other at the GeneXus event, and I'm gonna tell you more there about how to really do this. I'm not gonna spoil things. You're all invited. We're gonna have a stand. We're gonna be giving a talk. We are giving a webinar just a month away from this GeneXus meeting. I'm not going to be talking about this again at that event. It's going to be more focused on the AI part of things, and you're going to have that experience of just continuing a talk that began in this webinar, but it's going to, well, to be continued at the event. I'm just leaving it there, just creating a little bit of suspense. And well, those of you that can't make it in person will definitely be connecting online, so you have no excuses. No reason why you should be missing this amazing presentation as part of this event. So you're all invited, but on top of that, we're going to have a post-event activity, which is going to be a K2BTools AI bootcamp. And on Friday, that is going to be after the event, it's going to be from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. And we're going to be delving into the more technical details. And on top of that, we will be hearing it from you. We want to know what your needs are, what your queries are. And just FYI, we have limited vacancies, so you need to confirm attendance. But the other Fede, Rodriguez, he is writing on the chat a link where you can just register if you're interested in this boot camp. So looking forward to seeing you there. And well, for those of you using K2BTools, or that want to use or want to learn how to use K2BTools, we have K2BTools.com. There you can access all the different versions. We have a trial version. That doesn't mean that you need to buy a license. We also have the wiki with a tutorial for someone that is starting from scratch, a number of videos with a lot of information. Also, as a resource, we have these webinars. There's another webinar on areas which you can also take a look at, and we have really cool activities with all the users. We're going to have one at the event, then the bootcamp, and that's always great. It's something that we missed a lot because of the pandemic, and yeah, it's always a good place to learn about what's new with the product. Those of you that know it, those of you that know us, you know that our user and customer support service is really good. We have a 4.9 rating in support, so of course you know that you can use the tool. You can try it out, you can download it, you can get your hands dirty with all the new stuff, and also feel invited to all the activities that will be happening at the GX30 with our stands, with the presentation that we will be giving, our bootcamp the day after that. So thank you so very much. And we're at your service. Maybe you have a question or something. So let's see. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Fede, for that presentation. So full of content and all the new stuff and all those amazing invitations at the end that I'm sure our attendees will be accepting and they'll be joining us. Now the attendees can choose to write a question on the Q&A box. So just feel free. Go ahead and write a question and Fede will be answering them. And you can also raise your hands if you wish to. And we will open the microphone so that you can just ask away. Okay, Fede, I'm going to read a few questions that we already got. Edgar, he is saying, good afternoon. Very interesting, these new features. Questions first, could you in the wiki have an example of the use of the calendar with data provider? I'd like to load the calendar with, for example, the month's birthdays. And two, will the use of AI require that you connect to payment services? Okay, very good. Edgar, sure, we can get that on the wiki if you want. What you can also do is to use our support tool to just ask for that specifically. But yeah, we will take a look at what you asked and see what we can add so that it will be documented, because the things that you can do with the calendar are really cool and it's good to have that. As I said, it's very powerful. With AI connecting to payment services, yes, all these AI models, they're not free, but in terms of how we are using it, it's a cost that I think it's very low for all the power that you get with it. So the answer is yes, you have to pay, but maybe it's going to cost you less than $1. So it will depend on how you use it. But I believe that it's not gonna change much for you, but the user experience will be changed to a great deal. Okay, great. We have Eduardo. He's saying, excellent, thank you so much. Very interesting, everything that you've shared. Elias is saying, Fede, will we have practical workshops the day of the event? I don't think that's going to happen the day of the event. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to speak with the marketing team to see what they have to say about this. But we will have the you can have the online training, but maybe Elias, if you want, you can just send us an email later and I'll let you know as soon as I hear if we're going to have a practical session at the day of the event or not. Okay, Luis is asking, the report patterns, can you create new ones? The answer is yes. Yeah. That is the whole idea. Okay, very good. We have a question by Juan Antonio that says, for the calendar control, can I define the times of the day in which someone is working? For example, Mondays from 8 to 1 p.m. and Tuesdays from 1 to 7. Can I define days that are blocked, for example, a banking holiday? Well, that depends on how you use the calendar control. You can define the time range in calendar, and maybe those times in which the doctor is not going to work, you can just block them as busy, and you can make sure that people will not choose those times. But it really depends on how you implement it and how you use it. I think that, yeah, that you could, for example, just block a day if it's a banking holiday. This is going to allow you, on the one hand, to define the available hours, and at the same time, you can just block the unavailable hours so that you don't get someone booking an appointment at that time. But if you want a more precise answer, you can always write to support@K2BTools.com, and we will definitely tell you more about it. And yeah, this is going to be much better. It's as I said, it's on the chat. Okay. Okay, now we'll hear it from Gustavo. He's saying, "Hey, Fede, any chance that we can add the orange as K2B Orion has in areas?" Yes, we can. What you have to do in that case is to change some of the baseline colors that you have in the design system configuration, and convert it into the orange. And then you have to use the color control so that they are enabled. But again, if you write to support@K2BTools.com, we can give you a more step-by-step answer. If my answer is not clear enough, do send an email and we will just give you more assistance. Okay, very cool. Very good. Rodrigo is asking us about the future course planning, both for beginners and more advanced. Okay, we're gonna have a few. We're gonna have the GeneXus event this year, but then as of March, we're gonna have more courses for K2BTools, and we're also thinking of having more advanced stuff. Felipe says, "Good afternoon, Fed and Jaime. Expanding on what Edgar asked, is it possible to have on the K2BTools web XPZs with examples of the different features that K2BTools offers?" Yes, it's possible. We can do that in the samples part. Send us an email and we will give you that so that you can download it. There are a lot of features available. Evandro is asking the same thing. Okay, so yeah, write to support and we will tell you how to access it. Thank you, Evandro, for your question. Marcelo is saying, "Good afternoon. Great to hear of the advancements. I'd like to know if the calendar has an option of just only view to expose in public, and it won't allow anyone to edit it." And the answer is yes. You can do that with no problems at all. Okay, we have no further questions in the Q&A. We have a few more minutes. Gustavo raised his hand. Let's see if Fede can help us so that Gustavo can ask a question out loud. Gustavo, can you unmute? Or maybe Gustavo, yeah, I think that it was written already. It was the orange thing, right? Yeah. Okay. If it wasn't Gustavo, please do write to us. Okay, Fede, we have no further questions. Congratulations on that amazing presentation. And as Fede said, looking forward to seeing you at the GX30. Hope to see you there. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting event. We're going to meet in person again. So really looking forward to seeing all of you. Register. And if you're interested, you can also sign up for the AI bootcamp. And of course, you know how to reach us. So we're at your service. Thank you so much, Fede. This webinar is going to be recorded, and you're going to be getting the link to the recording if you want to watch it again. Thank you so much to the whole K2BTools team for this amazing webinar. And as we said, looking forward to seeing you in Montevideo in late November. Thank you so very much and see you around.